She's gonna hold him for and take a picture. Oh my goodness. What a little fat head.
She got some privilege, you know, she's in water. What's that? I'm not holding this thing.
He's gonna start hollering if they don't leave him alone. Look how red he is now. That's what Ken looked like.
What do you want?
Does he look like Ken?
He's got a lot of hair like him.
Mm-hmm. And he's very red.
I'll have to compare his picture home.
He's got that broad forehead.
Yeah, it's a video. It's a video camera that takes Now on the Twilight Sentinel, what that does is if you turn it on, your lights will come on. That does automatically. They will go off when you turn your key on. Now what I usually just barely leave it on. But now if you're gonna walk, say far as near that other car or the street and want it to stay on longer, the further you move it up this way, the longer it'll stay on. So if you want it to stay on up for a minute and a half, I think is about but I'm gonna have it to where you
I have on hers that I got on mine.
What?
She can't turn her dome light on.
Oh,
I
that's
can
terrible.
turn it on.
Yeah, but her lights go on and off automatically.
But she can only turn her little peon reading lights on.
Right.
See this right here? I've got the metal chrome. She's got plastic.
That's not plastic.
This
That's
pla-
leather.
This?
That's all leather.
This? No, Daddy. This right here around
No,
it.
that's leather.
I'm not talking about the leather. That's plastic.
That's leather. Look, that's all leather. That's all leather.
No, this right here
Oh, don't
around.
argue.
Oh, look at that.
You wearing down the battery?
No, it's got the engine on.
Hey, girl. You clean your Cadillac again?
Oh, just a minute. My bowl's not fixed properly. I'll just take that bowl off.
Okay. What you want to tell me about this car?
This car
Took you 28 years to get.
took me 28 years to get. It's a little dream come true. It's a fantastic little car. A luxurious little car.
Yeah.
I'm very grateful and thankful for.
You gonna drive the little wheels off, right?
No,
Take you for a ride all around the United States.
might,
You want to slip in there and show us how easy it gets into those leather seats? Isn't that nice?
oh, it's just wonderful. And you can take this and pull. It has power operated seat. Passenger and front side, and the back lays back so you can take a little rest. Oh. And it doesn't work unless you've got. There it goes.
Okay, let's look under the hood first.
All right, on the right-hand side, you say?
Yeah, lift it up first. And
This
see.
side?
No, the other side. You're right.
The most wonderful hood I have ever opened.
Yeah.
Most hoods I have trouble with, but I opened that at first try.
And there it is. 2.8 liter
Now, I must show off my
fuel
gold keys.
injection. And it's a V6 transverse mounted.
I'll leave my keys.
Okay, where you got your keys?
I bet I left them in the house. All right, gold-plated keys. When you buy a Cadillac, they give you what they call golden key service. One key for the ignition, the square-headed one, and the round-headed one opens the doors, the trunk, and the locked gas filler.
Okay, start up and let's hear the radio.
You don't press the gas pedal when you start this car. You just turn the key and it
Let me get inside. I'll get inside it by the radio phone. That's not Christmas music. Put on some Christmas music. Hit the second button. That's it. Good.
I'm not a king, I'm a man. Take my hand. We'll make a
Okay, rev up the engine a little bit and I want to see the tachometer go. There it goes. Okay, that's good.
And he will stay
86 miles,
time
60 miles on the trip.
Yes, we're different worlds apart. We're not the same. We laughed and played with the
Okay,
stars
look over here.
like in a game. You could have stayed outside my heart, but in you came. And here you'll stay until it's time.
Survived a dangerous drop in oil pressure for about 10 minutes and is now flying over the mid-Atlantic. Greg Lamont reports on a couple of dads who are anxiously awaiting their children's return home.
As Voyager moves through the skies, setting new aviation records, the spirits of both the crew and ground control are visibly very high, as are those of the crew's proud papas. Lee Yeager is the father of Voyager co-pilot Gina Yeager. George Rutan, who around here is called Pop, is Dick Rutan's dad. These two men were brought together by their children's history-making attempt.
We've gotten real well acquainted. In fact, we find that we really like each other.
Gina's dad says they mostly talk about the flight of Voyager, but when they talk about their children, there's a gleam of pride in their eyes. And of course, they both have their favorite stories.
She doesn't really know that she can't do something. And when she was a child, I read her books and told her about the cow jumping over the moon, and I think she must have taken it literally.
Rutan remembers when Dick was 4 years old and in his grandmother's backyard.
He had an old shovel and he was scraping around on the dirt, and she asked him what he was doing, and he said, well, I saw this plane go over way up there and I'm making a place for it to land.
Both fathers say their children have always been adventurous, and when asked if they were tough to raise because of it,
there's never been a dull moment with my two girls.
Rutan says Dick has always believed in cramming as much experience into his life as possible. Yeager says Gina is shy, quiet, and very determined. And although these two fathers are as different as their children, they share the same prayer.
with. What I want for Christmas is two very special people.
Greg Lamont, CNN, Mojave, California.
Vietnam War. He was shot down on his last one, but was rescued. Before today, he already had 10 aviation speed and endurance records to his credit. His co-pilot, Gina Yeager, is 34 years old, no relation to the famed test pilot Chuck Yeager. She has worked 14 years in aviation engineering and design and holds 9 world records as a pilot.
Welcome home, beautiful, Dick.
Beautiful. Last July, Rutan and Yeager took Voyager up and down the California coastline for 5.5 days, one of 65 test flights for their round-the-world endeavor. When they came back from that, there was a champagne celebration and then right back to work on the main event.
We started it, we're going to finish it. We're too far now to even consider quitting. Can't quit. Got to do it.
There is some risk, but we've evaluated all these things. We've been in aviation a long time to know what the risks are and try to minimize them as much as we can.
The risks were substantial. Over the weekend, Voyager hit such severe turbulence that Rutan thought it might crash into the Atlantic. But it made it. Rutan and Yeager have made it home and into the history books.
And indeed they have. There they are over the 15,000-foot-long tarmac strip at Edwards Air Force Base, from which they took off 9 full days ago. And there she is, Voyager, plodding along with both engines going now, one at the rear and one at the front, at about 75 miles an hour. Gary Shepard is out at Edwards Air Force Base. Gary, this is going to be a kind of formalized landing, isn't it? They're going to do a flyover?
Good morning, Peter. Yes, indeed. In fact, they're flying over right now as we speak. They're well below 9,000 feet. Our best guess is they've come down to an altitude of about 5,000. 3 chase planes accompanying Voyager, and we're only a few minutes before it finally touches down on this lake bed behind me here at Edwards Air Force Base, a touchdown after this incredible around-the-world trip of more than 26,000 miles.
Those of you at home can see what looks like a front wing going from the 2 long gas tanks on the side across the front of the aircraft. That's the secret to this flight and to this slow flight, among other things. That's called a canard there, and it prevents an aircraft from stalling when it flies at such unusually low speeds as this one. And Burt Rutan, who is the designer of the aircraft, the man who had the idea originally, says he actually got the idea from the Wright brothers in 1903. When they first flew their first aircraft, it had one of those canards, one of those struts across the front.
Peter, as we look at Voyager coming in over Edwards, we should recall, of course, that Edwards has been the scene where so many test flights and space flights have landed. 18 space shuttles landed there at Edwards Air Force Base, and it looks to me from this vantage point at least that Voyager is getting just about the same kind of reception as the early shuttle flight landings did. That magnificent, huge lake bed, which allows for all kinds of error when a pilot has little or no fuel left, gives them lots and very, very forgiving space there, but obviously they are going to aim for that compass rose right in the middle of that lake bed that they're aiming for.
In fact, one of the reasons they come down at Edwards, and NASA and the Air Force have given their facilities again today, is because you can land on that dry bed and go virtually in any direction. Unless there's any rain at that 44 square mile air base, you can hardly make any mistakes. There they are down below 10,000 feet with Gary Shepard in California is the technical director of the Voyager team, Jack Norris. Jack, how does it look to you?
Jack, how does this, the final moments of Voyager look to you from your vantage point here? You've been with this right from the beginning.
It looks pretty exciting. It's the end of a very long, hard trail for the Dick Rutan and Gina Yeager.
This has not been a flight without its harrowing moments, and even last night, Peter, there was a great deal of concern about fuel because a lot of the fuel in the right wing was unable to get to the engines. And Jack, explain to us what exactly happened.
Well, basically what happened, a very simple little pump failed, but that one pump pumped all the fuel from the right-hand side of the airplane, so when it failed, it was a major problem.
How was it solved?
Basically, it was solved by replumbing the airplane this morning. Gina replumbed the entire fuel system inside the cockpit so they could get to more fuel.
And as a result of that replumbing, the fear that Voyager would come in with only 2 gallons available to it went away, didn't it?
That's correct. That's correct. There's enough fuel on the right side of the airplane to still go a very long distance, but it wasn't available with the failed pump.
And now that Gina fixed that problem, there's no longer a concern that you're landing on fumes, right?
That's correct. The fuel's there, we just couldn't get to it with the failed pump.
Gary, Voyager is now circling overhead and slowly coming down. We believe it's below 5,000 feet right now with its 3 chase planes and Dick Rutan getting ready to set it down on this lake bed behind us.
Well, Gary, while he goes through the fairly laborious hand-operated process of putting the gear down, we want to check in with ABC's medical editor, Tim Johnson, who's watching this with us from Boston. Because, Tim, we're all very keen to know what kind of shape that Gina Yeager and Dick Rutan are going to be in after having spent this long, almost 9 days in incredibly cramped circumstances. What's your best guess?
Well, right from the start, Peter, they have had 4 major concerns. One was making sure they could get enough oxygen in the unpressurized cabin, and they had devised a very ingenious little system to deliver oxygen. Nonetheless, there has been some concern that they may have low oxygen levels in their blood. That could contribute to some of the erratic behavior, along with, of course, the second concern, which was fatigue. The third concern was hydration based on their previous test flights. So they've had little packets of water and other fluids to take on an every 6-hour basis, and they've been checking their own urine regularly for specific gravity to make sure they did not get dehydrated. The fourth and final concern that they had was the hearing problem. The noise level in the cabin, as has been widely reported, is above the 100 decibel range. That's in the range of such things as jackhammers and subways. They did devise a special pair of headphones that they've been wearing, and I talked to the doctor last night who has been monitoring as best he can their progress. He does not think they have suffered a lot of hearing loss, but that's one of the things they will check. So those are the 4 areas they're going to look at very carefully when they get down.
One of the things that Burt Rutan, the designer, told us last night that they would look for first, Tim, was to see whether Gina and Dick could actually walk when they got out of the cockpit.
Well, in fact, the actual compression in that small space may make it difficult for them to move at first when they get out, but they will be looking for more serious underlying bruises that might make that difficult. I think their major concern, however, are in the areas of the fatigue and the psychological effects more than the actual bruising, which with time should wear off.
While we're on the subject of the cockpit, there's probably not any doubt in anybody's mind that they have gone around the world now without stopping and without refueling. But when they land on the ground, the National Aeronautics Administration is going to check very quickly for the proof that they have not landed anywhere. There are 2 ways they can do that. That cockpit, that tiny cockpit bubble on the top of the fuselage, has actually been sealed for the entire flight. And when it gets down, they will check, the NAA will check to see that the seals on the cockpit have not been broken. And there is also something resembling a barometer, which will show whether the aircraft has ever been down to sea level, whether it might have landed in some remote part of the world. But I don't think there's anybody in the world this morning who has any doubt that these 2 heroic Americans, Gina Yeager and Dick Rutan, Gina 34, Dick 48, 49 now, have been around the world nonstop without refueling, and as Jack Norris told us out there in California, with fuel left to burn. In fact, Dick Rutan last night said they could come on to from California to New York and then out into the Atlantic again.
I don't think they're going to be too eager to, Peter. This has been, as you keep mentioning, a grueling flight for these individuals.
Dick Rutan has said on more than one occasion, Lynn, that all the celebration aside, and there are a lot of people that turned out at Edwards this morning, what he really wants to do is go to bed.
And then, of course, they would like to go into the history books, which they will automatically.
Let's see if we can hear a little of the air-to-ground conversation.
That always happens, Peter. When you go to listen, they stop talking. They'll come back to us in just a minute. I was about to say that this...
very proud that you could all come out to see our landing. Because after all, it was the grassroots American support that made this thing possible.
That's Dick Rutan.
Let's join us. Doing some dots over the landing area for the...
Dick Rutan, who is among the most patriotic of individuals, saying this morning that it was Americans who made it possible. He didn't want a lot of corporate sponsorship on this flight, and he and Gina and his brother Burt have done this on a shoestring. Someone speculated that if this had been done by a large corporation, it would have cost in the neighborhood of $20 million. Burt Rutan, who's been designing airplanes for years, both for the home-built market and model airplanes before that.
2 and 1.
has some money, but not enough to mount a $20 million operation by any means.
And Peter, I should also point out, I spoke to some of the folks over at NASA. You're quite right, they did not sponsor this, but the individuals there, their tongues are hanging out. This is exactly, excuse me, exactly the kind of achievement any pilot would go for. These folks, according to one person there, are way out there on the edge.
You know what, the people on the ground, the first thing they're going to want when they meet us is they're going to want to get a long ways away. I want to tell you what America sure is proud of you. Oh, we're proud to be Americans. I tell you what, when people are free, they can do anything they want, and all they got to do is dream it. This is the last first in aviation, and atypically was done by Americans.
The last first in aviation, said by either Dick or perhaps Bert on the ground there at Mission Control, reminding us, Lynn, very much of Charles Lindbergh and Amelia Earhart and the comparisons between them.
Well, you really can't help make those comparisons. Amelia Earhart was also 34 when she made her first great achievement, which was being the first woman to cross the Atlantic alone in 1932.
Photo chase, you're clear to rejoin. One moment photo, then we put the gear down.
They don't really look alike, but you can see a certain resemblance between Gina Yeager and Amelia Earhart, that kind of lean aviator look, which of course used to be in Aviatrix, but I think we've gotten beyond all that. A certain similarity also in the way they are both shy, somewhat retiring people who are out there to do a job, and they're out there to do a job because the job is there to be done.
Dick Rutan and Gina Yeager are companions, never quite sure how you say it, but they live together, they work together. They met at an air show some years ago, and then when they joined up with Bert the designer, it has been a real family affair. Gina, as Lynn said, is 34 years old. Dick is the older brother. Both the boys grew up in California. Their father was a dentist, and it was their father who first discovered his own love of flying and passed it on to his boys. Gina Yeager was born and raised in Fort Worth, Texas, and both Gina and Dick hold an extraordinary number of world records for both distance and for time already. Gina herself holds 8 world records, and Dick, I've forgotten how many he owns, but it is even more than that. Incredible companions, both in the air and on the ground. And there you get some sense, so the first sense we've really had of any speed at all. The aircraft will land at about 57 or 58 miles an hour, all things considered. But there's what an aircraft looks like up against something going about 75 miles an hour.
Edwards Tower. After this pass, the chase 2 and 3 will land on runway 23.
Runway 23 for the chase plane.
Roger, and advise when you want to land. Okay. He's not on the ground yet. He's over to the road. Fly by to the crowd.
You have to get the gear down by hand when you build an aircraft that is as light as this one. The fuel weighed 5 times more than the aircraft. You've got to do a lot by hand. There are backup systems, but everything is done at an absolute minimum.
And I believe, Peter, that when it lands, it weighs about as much as a small car. That it's going about the same speed, and it weighs about that.
You're amazed. I must admit that there has been times during this flight I did not think it was going to be successful. Well, congratulations.
Dick Rutan saying there were times during this flight when he didn't think it was going to be successful, and surely one of those when he was over the west coast of Africa. They got into a storm that they had not anticipated. He virtually turned this enormous wingspan edge up on its side and practically had to beg Mission Control to tell him how to get out of the storm.
I'll see if I can still walk.
Dick will do the landing.
I just shot 1 foot at a time. It works out good. Ah, there you go.
Should probably point out,
Congratulations, you guys. Thank you.
Peter, those those flaps on the tip, the winglets at the ends of the wings, the one of which broke off on takeoff and the other they took off themselves, apparently will have, certainly has no bearing whatsoever on the landing. No danger to them at all now.
They're going to make another pass while Dick Rutan tries to get the gear down. One of the things, Lynn, that really catches my ear as they talk back and forth with Mission Control is how much more casual it is than when NASA lands the shuttle. There are no congratulations to the NASA people on board, to the astronauts.
The family welcomes you back for Christmas.
Until they're on the ground.
Good time of year to come home.
But Peter, they are tired. I wonder if Gary Shepard and Jack Norris have any thoughts on landing that plane after almost 9 days of being awake for these folks.
Is it a hard plane to land, Gary and Jack?
The plane comes over this time in its clean cruise configuration. Make one more orbit, and it'll take about 15 minutes
Sense
for
of
Gina
what it's like now for Dick
extend the
Rutan
gear.
after 9 days up there to bring this plane in.
Each gear is individually
Very
hand cranked down
flexible
to
airplane.
very small lightweight
Very
cable.
efficient. Therefore, it's very hard to bring down. It loses altitude very slowly.
So it has to creep down, foot by foot. It can't do a diving landing.
That's correct. It doesn't have flaps or other drag devices, so it can only lose energy so fast.
Dick Rutan being so tired, so fatigued, is this going to be a problem for him to judge distances and heights and depths and so forth for this landing?
I think it certainly will be. Dick is a very good pilot, but of course he's been subjected to 9 days of real fatigue. But I'm sure he'll do well.
Peter, one thing, a few moments ago, Voyager flew right overhead, and a lot of the crowd of spectators here broke out into applause as the plane flew over. It's probably going to do several more flyovers before it lands, but I think our guess is that it should be down in the next several minutes. So what do you think, Jack?
Yes, probably about 10 minutes. It takes quite a while to crank the gear down, so he'll probably make a few passes while they do that.
Now, Dick is at the controls while Gina cranks the gear down. Is that
That's
right?
the usual arrangement, right?
And it takes that's all done manually.
Yes, both gears are cranked down manually, one at a time. The nose gear moves up and down pretty swiftly, but the main gear takes a long time.
You know, Gary, I'm really struck by all these comparisons with the shuttle, since we're used to watching shuttle landing at Edwards. The shuttle is so totally automatic. Nobody is cranking down the landing gear there. You, of course, have missed out on the great sonic boom because of the lack of speed at which Voyager is traveling. But it appears as if all of the excitement of a shuttle landing is right there anyway.
The excitement is definitely here. There are an estimated 50,000 people who have come out here to Edwards Air Force Base today to watch this. Spectators, many of them arrived last night in trailers and cars and spent the night here, sleeping during the nighttime hours and waiting for the dawn to arrive. It's an incredible traffic jam, as a matter of fact, on the ground at Edwards Air Force Base. Not so bad in the air right now, Jack Norris.
No, they only have the Voyager and its 3 basic chase planes.
One thing we're anxious to see is when Dick Rutan and Gina Yeager emerge from the cockpit. We are told that they will probably not be able to walk and will have to be helped out of the plane. Is that your understanding?
I think that's a real possibility. You have to remember that they've been horizontal in that airplane for 9 days, and the body is very adaptable, so it's probably lowered its blood pressure. So they shouldn't stand up too quickly.
Gary, while you're on the subject of health, let's call in Tim Johnson again. Tim, among other things, they've been battered and bruised around, thrown around that tiny cockpit. I know you've been talking to the medical director of the mission. What else has he commented on?
Well, he's been really quite impressed with how well they've done despite all of the terrible conditions that you've been talking about. I should point out, I guess, that their medical operation is consistent with the rest of the operation, kind of an informal shoestring type operation. A family practitioner from Northern California who's a friend of one of the engineers involved in the program is serving as the medical director. They're not going to do many very sophisticated tests. For example, they're not going to do any real formal psychological testing, which would have been interesting, but they do have the backup of the Edwards Air Force Base personnel, and a psychologist from that base will be there in case he's needed. They're planning on doing some very simple blood tests, urine tests, an electrocardiogram. They're certainly going to check the hearing now and then follow a period of several weeks. But really, they have a lot of confidence in these two people. They think they're going to rebound very quickly and with some good sleep be just fine again.
Well, as you can see, just as clearly as we can now, Gina Yeager has managed to hand crank the gear down. You can just see it dipping under those long 110-foot wings. And Dick Rutan is now bringing Voyager in for its final pass over this great dry lake bed about 2 hours north of Los Angeles in California.
Accompanied, of course, by a chase plane. Those planes have been up there trying to keep stray aircraft out of the way, in part, so that no one interferes, and just to keep the curious and the sightseers away.
Well, only one wheel is on at the moment, so we could only see one until they came around the other way. Now Jeannie Yeager's got to crank the other one down. So they'll turn very gently in the sky with that very rigid forward wing, enabling them to fly at this incredibly slow speed for an aircraft, somewhere around 70 miles an hour now, slowing down to a little under 60 miles an hour for the actual landing itself. This is, at least in the mind of Burt Rutan, the designer of the aircraft, much more than just an individual challenge, because the technical fallout from the technological capacity which you see there almost floating around over Edwards could apply to airplanes in the future that need to loiter for long periods of time at very low speed, at high fuel efficiency. It could even result in the development of an improved capability to haul cargo. One of the suggestions has been that you could use aircraft with this technological capability to bring oil off the North Slope in Alaska. And one commercial company in the country, the Beech Aircraft, has taken a really enormous, perhaps less enormous chance today than it looked many months ago on Burt Rutan. The Beech Aircraft Company is going to put into production something called the Beech Starship, which is of a very similar design to the one that Burt Rutan used for the Voyager. That is, with that canard, that very stiff forward wing that gives the aircraft this low-flying, slow-flying capability. The same design that the Wright brothers used essentially in 1903. Let's listen again to Mission Control.
That little counter has to work. We may have to do it all over again. You didn't think landing on some aircraft carrier, did you? No. Plus I didn't gear up.
That is...
Yeah, we have a visual on the right main gear door is open.
The
Yeah,
right.
and I can see Gina's doing it very smoothly, and here comes the tire coming into sight.
That's the right tire coming down there.
Just behind the rear propeller, if you can see it, looking under at the rear of the aircraft, just going down under the center wingspan.
They really eyeball that from the ground. You heard what he said. You saw the door opening, the tire coming down, and obviously the pilots need that.
It's about 70% down now.
These, of course, are the first really great pictures that we have had of this mission, because the Rutan brothers and Jeannie Yeager very carefully did not tell people where they were around the world, lest commercial aircraft and, quite frankly, news media aircraft try to fly up and take photographs and interfere with their flight. They had planned a couple of rendezvous of their own, one over Hawaii, which worked, one over Thailand, which did not work because the Thais could not understand why one American aircraft would like to take off from Thailand to go and chase another American aircraft in the skies of Southeast Asia. So these are the most glorious pictures of the full 9 days.
It gets to lower the nose gear, so we'll try that right now.
That's the last landing point they need, which is the nose wheel.
So the autopilot must come on. Autopilot on, Mark.
Dick, what advice can you give a small plane pilot?
That's the first time we've heard Gina's voice in quite some time. She's the one
busy.
who's putting down the gear. You go ahead.
You did a good job getting those gear down. But you always put your gear down if we land. That's very good advice.
Thank you, Dick. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Well, all we've heard about their fatigue does not show at the moment. The adrenaline must be coursing through them at the moment. There's certainly a sense of humor there. They've only had about 4 hours sleep a day, and it cannot have been a very restful sleep. At one point, Dick Rutan tried to take a sleeping pill. We won't know till they get on the ground whether or not that worked.
And Peter, keep in mind that this flight, which we are celebrating, which appears to be such a remarkable achievement, and they're about to land, they were supposed to take off once before they really did. They had a delay, as we have experienced in other vehicles in this country. And
Okay, Dick, we show that the nose gear is out, the door is open, and I'm just moving in to check the over-center position.
coming down with the nose gear. But this, someone pointed out to me, no one will remember the downtime. No one will remember that there was a delay. They will only remember the achievement, and that's probably exactly the way it should be.
From the north to the south. All right, so Voyager 1-5 here, we are in position.
Making yet another...
Confirm that the gear is down and locked, and we were asked to look at the nose gear real carefully because there was some talk of a low-pressure front tire. I disagree with that entirely. I'd say it's blown up just exactly like it was when you left.
Some concern about whether there not was enough air in the front tire, which will play a critical role when they touch down. But somebody on the ground, eyeballing it, as Lynn says it seems to be full of air, as it was when they left.
Chase confirms that you are in the landing configuration, and go get it, boy. This is the big one, the one you've been training for. This is the big one, yeah.
Well, with a cockpit the size of theirs, they have got to have help from the ground, telling them what is going on. What they are doing up there is pure exploration, pure technological development. There is absolutely no reason for them to have flown this flight except to see if they could do it. This is, well, he says the last first in aviation. Someone will find another one, but the idea that you could just come up with something that hadn't been done and go do it.
There are some folks, of course, Lynn, who've been cynical about it, but as they go silent now in preparation for what has got to be a very tense moment, I would guess even the cynics have been sent back a little in their chairs. Just imagine them now. Gina is lying down beside Bert. He's sitting up, perhaps with his head up in the bubble of that cockpit now, because that's the only way he can see forward, backwards. In fact, he can see 360 degrees if he gets his head up into that little plexiglass bubble there you see sitting on top of the aircraft. The aircraft is so fuselage and the cockpit are so small that Gina is lying down beside him and working for the most part on her back. This was not designed for comfort.
Voyager 1, this is 5. You are now exactly 1 minute, 30 seconds short of 9 days.
1 minute, 30 seconds short of 9 days from when they took off from this same Air Force base in Southern California.
Let's understand that. Just make sure we fly another minute here before we land.
They're going for that record, Peter. They're not...
I think you're fed on that. My watch was the one that read 8 o'clock when you started the roll, and it's 8 o'clock now. 9 days, huh? 9 days without a shower.
9 days without a shower. It's a good thing they like each other.
When you build another one, Dick, you ought to put a shower in. Make it sound worse than, say, 216 hours. Okay, stand by, guys. We're going to recover this airplane.
Interesting how much attention, Peter, they are paying to all the details like that, exactly when they're going to land.
Voyager 1, Edwards, tower check wheels downwind, clear to land, compass thrust.
This is
Voyager 1, clear to land on the road. We have figure 8. Checklist is completed.
It's a very sophisticated attempt to break a record.
The rep for this landing will be 50 per knot. 50 per knot speed rep for the touchdown of pre-toss.
These folks will be all over the publishing pages and the television screens. That's part of their prize.
Confirm, Mike, you will be right side. Confirmed Fitz will be on the right side, well clear of him. He's got it now. Okay, fine, I'll be well clear left.
Move those chase planes off, someone says.
Parallel to one of those markers that I'm 90 degrees to right now. You can turn. All right. Okay.
He's had a tremendous amount of help from the ground, as we mentioned, when he got in storms.
South, but if you have to line up one that's a little off of that, as long as it's...
Dick Rutan asked Mission Control how to get out of them, and from many, many thousands of miles away, someone in Mission Control said, turn left.
Land due south.
I think he practically begged to get out of one of them. It was terribly turbulent.
The runway you're coming up to here is essentially due south, so it'll be essentially parallel to that. Okay, we'll come on around to the next one then.
Again, a reminder, you can land almost
approximately 2 knots from your right rear quarter.
anywhere on this dry lake bed and not find yourself in trouble. That's why it is so immensely useful today, as it has been to the shuttle in the past. They are not trying to land on the tarmac from which they took off, And you'll recall on takeoff, along which they scraped that 110-foot wingspan because they were so heavily loaded with fuel.
And they are landing, Peter, almost exactly where the shuttle has come in. In fact, this runway 23, which I believe they're aiming for, is the one the shuttle used for testing crosswind landings to see how the shuttle would do with the crosswind. I suppose the folks at Edwards are extremely happy to have all this attention and to have something there, breaking another record for them.
There's no problem running over any of these markers, is there? As long as you land inside the circle, you're in great shape. Okay.
We haven't seen anything of ground rescue equipment. I wonder if there is a convoy or something in case of problems.
One spot, we just ran it with the van and it's quite smooth.
Ran it with the van. That's the actual piece of strip on which they will come down. They've just run it with a truck, and it seems quite smooth, says Mission Control. Landing at about 56, 57 miles an hour, 54 knots to be precise.
I can see the marks where they were running the van just earlier. You're probably about 75 feet now. That's probably about 40 feet. 30 feet. 15 feet. 10 feet. 6 feet. 3 feet. 2 feet. 1 foot.
Home again, and there you can see the statistics. 26,000 miles, a little more than 9 days. No stopping and no refueling.
Congratulations, Dick. You really did it, boy.
What a glorious sight for all to see, the individual feats of some very die-hard, very determined individuals. Dick Rutan and Jeannie Yeager, the designer Burt Rutan, have now accomplished a goal.
Dick, how about I would assume a right turn toward the crowd would be kind of nice, don't you?
Absolutely. Turn right towards the crowd, guys.
Yeah, I wish somebody would talk. I would head right
Peter,
for
we
the
complain to be in an airplane for 6 hours to fly to Europe, or even longer to go to the Orient. These folks have just set an extraordinary record. But we also should point out there are people, A, who won't believe them, and B, who will have to verify it. That will all be checked after they get out of the cockpit. And their plane is towed away to a place where they can check those seals, check those gauges, verify. Somebody will probably do an official stamp or whatever to get it into the record books.
Oh, I believe him. Quite extraordinary. Quite extraordinary.
Well, there's people who don't believe that we ever landed on the moon, you know.
That rear engine, which has done most of the work, the front engine, of course, used for landing and for takeoff, but that rear engine's been running about 300 hours non-stop as they make their way with Voyager across the lake bed over to, as someone suggested, the crowd. And a large crowd who gathered out there this morning to witness the individual achievement, as we said, of three quite extraordinarily individual people. Two pilots and the designer. And that's Dick Rutan's head stuck up in the bubble there. What a way to see the world.
This really was a group effort. You know, Peter, they talk about the fact that it was individuals and Americans and private money, which is absolutely true, but this is not two people who just went and built a plane and flew. An awful lot of ground personnel helped them. Clearly it was their idea and their brother, Dick's brother, but you could not do something like this the way the Wright brothers did, if you will. This one was a much more sophisticated undertaking.
But not much more sophisticated, Lynn. Not much more. They've worked out there in Mojave, California in their little Voyager company for a long time. Burt Rutan gave up his job working for the Air Force because he didn't like working in a drafting room with all of the other people. And they went off a reasonable handful of people. Quite strange for those of you who've spent any time around small airports to see this glorious thing land, which we hadn't heard before, and then hear the virtual putt-putt of a small aircraft engine.
Dick Rutan's head. They have got to be very grateful.
That cockpit is sealed and will be unsealed, among other things, proving, to continue with Lynn's point, that they have not been out of that aircraft for the last 9 days. Gary Shepard is sitting right on the nose of the aircraft, which is pulled up in front of the crowd. Gary, take it away.
Peter, the applause has broken out here among the spectators. The engine just quit, and now everybody is just looking and watching. And officials from the National Aeronautics Association are proceeding out to the plane to check those seals before Dick Rutan and Gina Yeager can emerge. They have to certify that the cockpit has not been opened and so forth to make this around-the-world flight official. And there they are. Peter Riva, the Voyager chief spokesman, was standing there just moments ago directing the plane in. The crowd here is very enthused. They've applauded a number of times as the plane overflew. And Jack Norris, you've been watching all this here, and as the technical director of this entire flight, how do you feel right now?
I feel just wonderful. What you've just seen is free Americans doing twice what any corporation or government has ever accomplished.
Describe for us what we're seeing right here, Jack. They are actually taking photos, it appears.
They're taking photos of the seals to record it so the record will be official.
And listen, Gary, take a look at how big that aircraft is. Here's a guy taking pictures of them, and he's taller than the aircraft itself.
You're absolutely right, Peter. This is really something. That cabin is only about 7 feet long. And even though the wings of this plane are longer than those of a Boeing 727, it's a very flimsy little aircraft, and it's so light that its structural weight is less than 1,000 pounds. It's something like 934 pounds,
That's
as
correct.
I recall.
Yay!
Now, and look at those hands sticking up there. That's Dick Rutan signaling victory in his around-the-world trip. And I hope one of these moments we'll see Gina Yeager popping her head up there, too, as a matter of fact.
Unless she's getting 40 winks.
All this ceremony, incidentally, Gary, I believe these are NASA cameras, at least some of them are. They have kindly lent the Voyager folks their cameras to record this great moment.
There we go. There are hoots and howls coming from the spectators here. People are just, they can't believe that this has happened. I think, in a real sense, this is one of the last fly-it-by-the-seat-of-your-pants kind of efforts. These are, in a sense, Jack, these are aviation daredevils, aren't they?
They really are. This is the last major milestone of flight, and in every way it's equivalent to what the Wrights and Lindbergh and Chuck Yeager and the other pioneers have done.
2 Air Force ambulances have just arrived here at Planeside, and both...
What's he holding
Gina,
up, Gary? What's he holding up?
What are they holding up? Jack, can you see that?
Yes.
From our vantage point, it's a little tough.
I think he just held up his hat. He has a cowboy hat.
that was his cowboy hat, Peter.
Now, I saw the cowboy hat, but he handed up some papers there, which may have been his flight log. Did he keep a flight log?
Oh, he definitely did keep a flight
Yes,
log.
there's a flight log, and there's also a barograph. The barograph is the recording instrument that makes the flight official.
And I assume he had to hand that to the flight official
Yes.
for certification.
Yes.
That barograph is something like a small barometer which proves to those people who will check the officialness of this flight that the aircraft did not descend to sea level at any point. And of course, you see him put on his cowboy hat. It's a hat he couldn't wear in that aircraft. That looks like his passport.
I was mentioning, Peter, that 2 ambulances are standing by right in front of the aircraft, and they will both be taken to the base hospital for a checkup.
Somewhat inelegant means for them to get out of the cockpit, Peter and Gary, as they set those ladders up. This is not what we're used to seeing.
I think they're going to need some help. From what we gather. They're now setting up some stretchers, I think.
Could you move to the right a little bit?
I can see correctly. The plan is for them to have perhaps 2 hours at the hospital, but Bert Rutan, Dick's brother, says that his gut feeling is that Dick won't be able to spend 2 hours in the hospital. He'll want to come out and talk to us as soon as possible. So it might be only a short period of a very deep checkup, and if Dick is up to it, we're liable to hear from him a lot sooner than 2 hours from now.
Just in case people joined us late, Gary, let me remind them again, there he is. Gina Yeager is not related to Chuck Yeager, the test pilot.
Two very happy people. Oh.
And there's a handshake for Dick Rutan as he takes off his harness there, wearing his cowboy hat.
That's Dr. George Utila, the flight surgeon.
He is moving very slowly, Gary.
He sure is. He must be a little stiff, too, I would think. And Gina. They look remarkable for 9 days in the air.
George, you're on live television here. Do you have anything you want to say to America as you pull in?
It's really good to be back.
Dick Rutan, by the way, Peter.
Gary, let's listen to
The question
him.
is, how does one feel after spending 9 days in an airplane?
Like a shower. Like a shower. I'm going to sit here for a while, Doc.
Damn you. You're ready to. Yeah. I'm surprised. How do you come on? Hey, baby. Not busy at all? Beautiful. Oh, neat. You guys did it.
Well, I don't know whether he's saying he wants to sit there because he wants to
Did you ever
enjoy
any doubt that you'd make it?
this moment.
At what point? What would you say was maybe the low point or your most fearful time?
Well, over Africa, when we decided that due to some type of anomaly with the airplane, we didn't even have enough fuel to go across the Atlantic Ocean. We spent about a half a day and feeling pretty bad about that. But then we figured out where all the fuel was hiding, and we felt better.
Where did you find it?
Well, it had a backflow problem, and it wasn't indicated properly. We really had the fuel, but we didn't know it, and I felt pretty bad at that time.
How did everything hold up for you? The engines, the fuel?
They're all turning. They're all turning, and we made it. I would have liked to have a little more fuel at the end, but...
Yeah, I was going to say, if you had anything to do differently, what do you think it would be?
Put it pressurized, make the cabin a lot bigger, and go at high altitude.
I'd like to go at high altitude, he says, because that low altitude flight gave them such a rough ride. Let's see if we can hear from Gina as reporters on the ground ask them questions as they sit there, perhaps trying to get their ground legs back again.
You'll have to pardon me. I want to sit here for a while. I don't know if I can stand up or not.
Feel free. If is there anything you want to say, this is your chance. They're all watching. They're all listening to you.
Keep those muscles going on your legs.
Oh, they're getting advice.
No, it's really great to be here. I'm sure. Well, I'm really overwhelmed with all the people.
Your legs feel numb, Dick?
Yeah, they do. I was wondering about it, whether I'm going to be able to get a ride to get home tonight or not. But I guess not.
Tim Johnson up in Boston, he keeps referring to his legs, and Gina, who looks a little more relaxed with her legs up on the ladder there. What's your best guess?
Well, I'm impressed, Peter. I think they both look remarkably good. They certainly are alert and with it in obvious fashion. I'll just make this quick comment. They talked about that terrible moment off the coast of Africa. Dr. Jutila told me last night that at that time when they were in touch with him, they both broke down in tears after they finally were able to get away from that terrible moment. So in the midst of all of their obviously courageous physical condition, they also had some very emotional moments.
Yep, now he's going to try it.
He just finished saying his legs were numb. That was a very fast recovery.
Yeah, just grab his shoulder here. I'm okay, just understand it.
They do not, of course, have the advantage that the astronauts had of weightlessness and the room in a shuttle to do a kind of daily exercise regimen.
I mean, besides a long shower and a shave?
Besides a long shower.
Got a passion for showers, this fellow.
I think I can understand that. You notice that Gina hasn't come down yet. I guess they're giving her a chance to get her muscles back in shape.
They're all quite private people, particularly Gina Yeager, who has sat there, as she has on so many other occasions, quite prepared to let Dick do the talking. But while the attention is on him, bear in mind that she holds 8 world records for flight distance and for speed. She's one of the co-founders of the aircraft company, which put this great adventure together.
I know it was going to be 6 years ago.
What was the high point?
Bob Gordon, fellow F-100 pilot, you did it on private money. That's what knocks me out. Glad I could be here for the Congress to welcome you back. Good.
You got it. That's what 3 people can do, right?
And they may just be a little embarrassed with all of this personal attention. Here comes Gina down the ladder now. Looking, dare we say it, better than Dick did.
Extraordinary. You know, Peter, when the astronauts land, they are wobbly for a different reason. They have the different circulation problems. They don't have that cramped situation which you described. We are certainly used to seeing people getting out of aircraft or spacecraft and having a little trouble getting their ground legs again. These folks seem to be handling it quite well.
Okay. Your feet cold? Just kick them
They've also hardly slept. On top of everything else, they've hardly slept. They're overwhelmed. All these people are there. They've just accomplished this extraordinary feat. They've hardly had any sleep over the last 9 days. Their health is apparently okay.
Well, there's no doubt by seeing the look on her face, just how good she, Gina Yeager, feels about all of this. Bert Rutan, the designer, was telling us last night that on various occasions throughout this flight, he would get very specific communications from them that they were doing exactly the things they were supposed to be doing to monitor their aircraft. And then on some days they seemed totally out of it altogether, and he used to worry occasionally because they only got about 4 hours sleep a day. And on some occasions they simply were not able to comprehend some of the instructions or some advice they were getting from Mission Control. In fact, they once went 1 whole day without checking the oil in their rear engine, which caused some anxiety on the ground. They managed to fix it, of course, as all this is testimony to. And perhaps one of the first things Dick wanted to have a look at was the end of that giant wing, which he scraped so badly along the tarmac strip at Edwards Air Force Base on takeoff. You'll recall he did a circle and dropped off some of the winglets that were on the plane. But like any pilot who has concluded a flight, particularly one as long as this, the very first thing you want to see is how did your aircraft stand up to it.
I don't think there's a pilot alive who gets out of his plane and doesn't take a look at it. A long tradition.
Dick's mother and father are there. Gina's mother and her stepmother are there. Mother and her stepfather are there. Dick's daughter is there. Bert Rutan at some point will be together with his brother and with Gina. But there you have, under that glorious western sky at Edwards Air Base, there's almost a miniature view of what we have become accustomed to when the shuttle lands. A couple of Air Force ambulances being made available to take them for a checkup by what I euphemistically call the flight surgeon. But in fact, as Tim Johnson has reminded us up in Boston, is...
Well, we were at Oshkosh in July of 1987. I got this nice print of the Voyager, autographed personally by Bert Rutan, Dick Rutan, and Gina Yeager. We even got to see the Voyager up close on the Oshkosh flight line.
When they do that song, I feel like I'm running the tour just to accompany those two. They go, hey! It was hilarious. They were just cracking up. They could hardly even sing themselves. And then when we sang Silent Night, when we lit our candles and go out, everyone's singing, real hush. And all of a sudden you hear Blake and Bethany, Silent Night.
Sean, get over there.
Sean.
Back up, Sean.
Sean.
Yeah, but I
Come
like
here.
my picture taken.
Can you go to tinsel? Come on. Can you do that? Do it.
Sean.
What are you doing?
Sean,
Go back on the tree. Go back.
turn this way.
Go like this. Go bye-bye. Go bye-bye. What is it?
Sean, you remember what you discovered yesterday? You discovered electricity yesterday. You remember that? I didn't tell you, did I? He's playing with the light in the other room, turning it on and off.
You want this for the camera as well.
And,
Oh, that's gonna be good getting the nose bubbles on the camera.
and then,
He was trying to plug the tree this morning.
yeah, he was playing there, trying to pull the plug out. And all of a sudden he started crying. And I ran in there and I figured out what he did. He discovered electricity.
Whoa.
Sean, say warm.
Okay.
You don't want to say
Don't
warm.
fight over me. I know him.
Now, that's a real action picture now.
Ouch. Sean, come here, make some action. Come here, Sean. Come here. Come here. Come here.
You can go ahead, Sean. He's going to blow the Christmas tree out lights out, I think.
Can you blow the tree? Sean, can you blow at the tinsel?
That's one talented kid you got there.
What can we say?
That got your name on it, Sean?
Yep. Nope.
He doesn't care.
Whose is it?
Smell it.
Go ahead and open it up. Let's see what you got.
Oh, thank you.
No, that's till tomorrow, Sean. You're jumping the gun.
Look at him.
He's acting like Santa Claus because he's dressed in red.
Let's open it.
You've been teaching him how to open presents?
Oh,
He knows how to open
them. He opened them Monday night.
That's no.
What is that?
That's for
Whatever it is, he's going to open it. Sean, that's
Probably break.
Christmas is tomorrow, Sean.
Shake it out, Sean. Oh.
What is?
That's Daddy from Kensington.
So he give it to his daddy. You heard him say, he heard you say daddy.
Sean him.
So I gave Dad
What is it?
I can't tell you. Daddy. Sean, don't kick those. Kick that one down there. It's for you.
Yeah, you want to go ahead and play with your denim bag over there?
Come here. Here, come be in the picture.
He quit acting because he saw me not pointing the camera at him anymore.
Say hi. Hi, Grandpa. No problem.
Where's Grandpa?
Say, Grandpa. Grandpa.
Uh,
Can you talk?
Look, he's deaf and mute.
Hi, Grandpa. Go.
I didn't get you holding Sean. Sean's out of the picture.
I figured you would.
Sean's out of the picture.
Sean.
Those overalls aren't sturdy like Oshkosh.
okay.
Those are Sears cheapos. Come here. Come here. Cha-cha. Come here, you. Come here. Come here. I see you. I see you. I almost bought them.
I carry him around the house like.
You do?
Like a kitty cat.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye. He's a beer gut. Yeah, give him a bottle of beer.
They had a 6 twins almost. If they had a 6 month, I would have gone ahead and done it. So I couldn't give it to Shirley, but he would have given it.
Why don't you put Will on Sean's lap and see what he does?
Sit here for a minute. Sean, sit right there. Just make me put the baby in the lap. Come here.
Sean, back up, Sean.
Come here. You want to hold the baby? Baby? Sean.
No.
Warm. He don't want some warm. Grandpa has let him touch him. Told him they're warm. He kept saying hot. You don't break it saying warm. Pretty good. Does Sean get the hiccups much anymore? Very seldom hear him.
Do them all the time. He gets them all the time.
Oh,
Let's put it back in the wall.
What do you do?
No, I was forced. I didn't put it back. Put it back in the wall.
He should put it in.
is he taking a video of him just sitting there? Hands are so
He
big.
does things. He doesn't just sit there.
Takes a picture of the tree sitting in the backyard for 30 minutes. No, he takes pictures of babies for 30 minutes. Little red lights.
Oh, look at that. Not a little one.
Yeah, he's got a size 4.
Open it.
Soccer pro.
Yeah, let's go kick the ball halfway across the field. Half the length of the field. Johnny, kick your balls.
Soccer
He likes to play. He wants to get back in the tackle. Ball.
Kick your ball.
He'll sit back in it.
Yeah.
Pictures of
Sean.
Sean and the family. Ooh, where'd you guys get these? Right? Ooh, did you see what Tom and Libby gave me?
Oh, boy, those are good.
If they're half price, we can get you something better.
Oh, those are
Man.
Oh, maybe. You did good one?
No, never a big call. Tell you I'm not a good boy. Oh, it's a bottle. It's a big bottle. Oh, I know what this
It's
is.
a nice ball, huh?
It's got a baby bottle.
That's from me.
It's got a big bottle.
I know, I thought it
That's the
was
smallest.
there.
That's the smallest they had to cover in the engineer. I could have gotten denim smaller, but.
Okay, get Sean another present. You got the ball. There.
Thank you.
That one
Ball? Yeah.
I didn't have a name put on it. You can take it one, you can take it back and put it.
Yeah. It's, you know, I wanted a smaller one. I like this one. It's a lot nicer than my round one.
Oh, we looked at several places. We just didn't have one.
That's
It's
okay.
the wrong one.
What?
Carolyn, what
But like, I wrote down the
New
number.
American? It's old.
Yeah, I thought.
Let's reorder it. Because it's good for like.
They even gave me an owner's manual so I know how to use it.
Hey, that's great. Let me see the owner's manual.
You have time to leave something else.
Okay.
I see what Tom and Libby gave me. Did you see those?
Zoom in on it.
I can tell you, I sure wish you'd pick something besides bears to paint it on that wall switch. I had the cute ducks and lambs and rabbits and stuff. I could find cute
Okay.
bears. Yeah.
It's my
I didn't
ninja
really,
stuff.
wasn't really saying bears. It was just like,
Watch your eyes.
But, can you give Sean another one?
There is for Sean. Give Sean that. That.
Alright, then I can make pies that look decent.
Just because I wanted one, you had to get 10 one
How does
too.
it do that?
Right. I'll
When did
probably
you guys go
rebuild
find
it
James
before you
Edwards?
do. You don't have to use one to rebuild an engine.
He knows how to empty that. Look at him.
That's nice.
Atta boy.
Ooh, that's a pretty one.
Like Santa Claus unloading his sack.
Ooh, this is a. This is a. It's different from my dad.
All that Good stuff.
Blocks? Is Sean still playing with his ball?
No, he's got the blocks now. He wants another one. He's ready for
Tell
another one.
Auntie you want another one.
More.
Got a ratchet on it.
He's got a short attention span, huh?
Use either side. Sit there and try to stare at it.
Yeah. Quit laughing at my torque wrench.
You found a George Beverly Shea. Oh, wonderful.
It's for cutting up parker.
I have got something to play in my car.
I almost got you a Christmas cassette. I had being a voice choir. But I didn't think y'all had a cassette and you got the car.
Shoes? Sit by the house.
Yeah. I bought you some of those clip-on things. Those you strap in front of your feet. Those that you like for real life.
Yeah, thank you.
I sure did.
Oh, they have it?
Listen, I don't think that.
That's a price tag on them.
Is it Denny's Kmart?
They do that again. No, never mind. I got it on camera.
And they had it in 18. And if I can get it all open for you.
This mine says honey.
Yeah, that's it, honey. Here's the honey.
Look in the camera, honey.
Is it really from Spiegel?
Boy, those look big.
Yeah, that's big.
Look at this.
Should have got me a smaller size since I'm lose weight starting in January. Want to open up this? For Mom and Dad. You want to open it? All right.
One of the shirts. And then it doesn't even fit. It's too big.
Open it. Oh, boy. Take it out. Here. Huh? No, it's fine. Good. There's something for Sean under there. Yeah.
Oh, gosh. I thought it was a trike. It's a three-wheeler.
He knows what it is. You want
It's a three-wheel trike. I haven't seen one of those. Maybe I just didn't look close enough. Right?
Oh, look at that. He knows.
Whoops,
He
you
got a
hit the
horn.
horn.
Beep,
Oh,
beep.
no, I ran over a rat.
Smile.
Hey, look this way and smile.
Sean. Hey, Sean. What are you doing?
Put them up there.
Oh, wait till he figures out you can make it go by pedaling it. Turn this way and pedal it.
Washcloths.
You got a pedal.
These are the
No.
ones that give.
They're dish rags.
That's what I call it.
Oh, okay.
I knew what I was.
Hey, he can make it go.
Yeah, I was watching Pam, so I thought that's pretty
You
cute.
got a pedal, boy. You're getting too old for push.
How's that?
Whoop!
It's a Honda.
It's a tall
You
one.
got a little spin to it.
Is this Sean next time?
Yeah. And just wait, when it gets old enough to put sides on, don't worry about touching your walls up. They will stay permanently binged with
So I'm helping get his feet back on it.
And when you handle those slides down the wall, you got a lot of black.
Well, thank goodness we don't have to worry about that for a few months.
Yeah, but if you let him go, he was probably 9 months old when he started learning how to pull his hands out.
We'll make it an outside toy.
You have to learn how to ride it, so.
The thing is, he has all this stuff moving around.
Yeah, that's pretty good, huh? We saw that thing too, but it's so little.
I didn't know something so push.
I had never, Didn't realize we learned how to use those. Come here. Let's get it off your puzzle before that breaks.
He's at the house.
Think they'll split wood, Tom?
He knew what it was right away. When he came over.
How do you figure it out?
He had seen them at Uncle Leonard's.
There's one under the bed.
Where?
Under your bed.
How'd you know that?
Because I'm looking for napkins.
Oh, mercy me.
It's under there.
One of these. If he was on the kitchen floor, it'd be easier for him. That carpet would be hard for him to push. No, I told him I wonder if he wanted to stay awake last night.
Drop it on
Everybody
my toe.
holds him and knocks him back to sleep. What?
I'm going to drop this on my toe. Then I won't have a toe left.
Oh. One day, I don't think I can instruct you. Oh, that was, yeah, it's got, look at it, it's all one piece. Let him burn this power.
So the seat comes up and sticks up in.
What do you think, Sean? Does he know how to ride it?
Baby on your motorcycle?
What's going on?
What child you
I don't think his feet hit the pedals yet.
Close, but not quite. Maybe next week.
Got long hours.
I was looking at this the other day. I don't know where he got long ones from. Tom and I. What child you
I don't think his feet hit the pedals yet.
Close, but not quite. Maybe next week.
Got long hours.
I was looking at this the other day. I don't know where he got long ones from. Tom and I.
Neighbor next door used to put them on a string and put them around her girl's neck, and they'd great big girls.
Oh, yeah.
Tina,
Tina and
Karen. I had a card from England, Tina.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, I guess all the kids are still home. in his mouth.
They're all still home. They're mine and Tom.
What are you doing, Sean? The girls haven't married yet. You got milk running out in a minute. He has to suck a little thumb before he can take his bottle.
Yeah.
That is weird. But
He's
Will
done
will suck
that
on both of his
all the
thumbs.
time. Since he was little. Well, since he could really start holding the bottom.
I've got both of them in there.
Oh, hey, Grandpa's taking a picture. Fill that mouth up. Where are you going, little kid? Where are
She
you
wants
going?
down.
Little boy.
She's had enough.
Bye-bye. Oh, he's gonna go.
Bye-bye.
He likes that. Grandpa's took his picture so much, he knows what it's all about.
Come over here to see me.
The other way, the other way. I turned it around.
You're gonna push it? He's found the other one too. Well, Tom, you lost your car then. The church had us looking kind of posed. I thought those were so.
Let me see one of his presents.
She got some Levi's. Get a metal hook for it.
We got
a wallet, so he doesn't have to wad his money out, and a belt,
All of his money.
and socks, and pants,
All good stuff.
and
No toys, huh?
and a sweater, and a
No
shirt.
toys, huh?
No toy. I ain't
I
got
like
no toys
toys.
for Christmas.
Well, he can play with Sean's bike.
Tom got toy and Brent got two.
Was he disappointed he didn't get the four-wheeler?
No.
That's what Linnell was saying. He thinks he's getting the four-wheeler, he's just getting the paper.
That's what they can.
Sean!
You know, here, sit this way now. This way, this way. That's okay. So I can see my boys. Look at the camera now. Look at the camera. Look at the camera. Look at mommy. Mommy?
Sean.
Mommy?
Sean.
Okay.
Okay, wait, I want to get one on our camera.
You go, Pumpkin.
Sit down
Take
again.
another one.
I'll give you copies of it. Yeah, let's do it again. See if your camera takes them better. Look at mommy. Look at mommy. Mommy, mommy, mommy.
Pretzel boy.
Classic pictures.
I got room for one more, Tippy. I got room for another. Look here, Sean. Who's this? Sean, look here. Hey,
Oh, he's been getting his picture taken all day.
look at there.
Hello, Peanut.
What your eyes watering for? The old sun bright? You went out? You want to go see you? There you go.
How you doing? Where'd your car go, Sean?
Here it comes, Sean. Here it comes. There it is. Whoa. Hey, I gotta go with that.
Back it up, Sean.
Did you get it? Everybody have your car? Here, put it on the floor. You can drive it across the lap. Who did that?
Make it go, Sean.
Person's in his mouth, I think.
Make it go.
He had his toothbrush in
Yeah, it's in his,
Make it go, Sean.
he's got his person in his mouth and his nose is stuck.
Uh-oh.
Your arm's not looking so right today. Did something,
It just
something happen?
I don't think he knows how to make it work.
It's not good to fix comes more in the winter time.
Dry skin.
Make it go, Sean.
It's bigger than you do.
Lotion or cream, something to keep it moist.
Whoop!
What did it do? Put on
Down,
two?
down to 2. He's showing you how it works.
Okay, show me again. Won't fit. Oh, now I saw it. Okay. Put it down the slide this time. Make it go down the slide this time.
Hi.
Hello.
Mine's Carolyn Joy Slatteritz. I'm the youngest baby of the bunch, except for that thing right there.
Little Will. The youngest baby.
I grew some feathers too, from my dearly beloved brother Kenneth Luke. Except you can't see me now.
Okay, turn the baby so I can see him. Still can't see him. There you go.
What? Did you hear what Ken called that before? I heard Tom Ken the other day.
Is he doing snoring?
That's in me. It's Tom doing all the talking.
I'm always doing all the talking. He can
She's out. Dr. Brad too. So I can drive. Yeah, here's Mr. Firebird.
Uh-oh, here comes Wayne and I'm not ready.
Where are you supposed to be going now?
I think you're watching play basketball.
Oh, okay. I was just gonna wrap it. Hurry up before you get cold. You're so warm. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. Thanks for the car. I'll take it.
Give it a little pat.
It's not a hot rod car, Ken. It just looks like it. I'm gonna put that other in.
That's a mean sounding little car.
Yeah, it is. Hope it makes it home. Show me how you clear off the tree.
Here.
Put it in there, Sean.
Put yours in. Put it in. No.
I'm just gonna take it out. Sean, you're supposed to put it in. Put it in, Sean. Don't take it out. We're trying to clean off the Christmas tree.
Thank you. No, don't break it. Thank you.
He was doing good before.
There's a baby snake.
No. Okay, what are you going to show me back here? Our fence is down. We're going to rebuild our fence. This is what our backyard looks like without a fence. Okay, walk along the fence. Keep going. I can't see you. Okay. Would say what?
Well, the concrete blocks that rub up against us.
Yeah. Just about.
5 years before. Growing on the 21st day of January.
Yeah, I couldn't start my, I had to go 9-degree. Keep having to take the SAT.
Oh, yeah?
Because if you're out of school more than 7 years, you're not required to take it. You're not out 7 years till.
I don't see any dimples when you smile.
It's working out good though because he'll get all his English out of the way, which will count towards his degree. And he'll have all that introduction math out of the way so he can enter his degree program. Because you have to get admitted to the college
I'm going to take
degree.
this math and 2 more maths before I take the first math.
It'll count towards his grade point average, but it won't count as far as hours towards his degree point
Should
average.
have took that SAT to see how you do it.
Oh, I didn't have time.
Oh, you didn't have time to do that?
You have to pay for that test too. Why didn't make yourself take a test? You don't have to.
I mean, I decided to do it and went down there
I agree with
and
that.
applied.
Yeah,
And
you have to take 2
2
placement
days later.
tests, you know, see what English you could start at. Start
I
off
took a
at
placement test for
freshman
English and I
and
placed
he
out of
did-
introduction.
Oh, did you?
And,
Yeah, I take it freshman.
Yeah, take a placement test for his
They
math.
made me take that.
And they put him in the math class he was planning on taking anyway, so he's had to do it to do it.
Doing so
No,
bad.
I'm
They do
a
again next
teacher.
year. Yeah.
She's a good tuition. Julie Chin.
That's how I'm telling you,
I had one lady my first semester.
they were always bad.
Second semester.
a drop off and then it took
When
it
I got
down.
there, everyone knew who
Got some guy that was easy to pass.
Because Tom had a bunch.
Oh, I
he had
could
a couple of
have.
dropping
Real good teachers. So just like you.
You know, he got penalized for his
Master
drop
control,
class.
that's it.
I had two pretty good teachers.
Okay, got him, Carolyn.
Wayne, would you be a photographer for me Sunday? We have not had a family picture in a long time.
I was talking
Since
about doing
the
that
last
at Christmas
time we
time.
We were going to do it after church.
Like you'd have a choice.
Come sit with me.
How much did your
Come
light
sit
cost,
with,
Dad?
sit with Janet and I. Boy.
Oh, how cozy.
I want my own baby here.
Oh, Janet. What's he doing tonight, Janet?
He's out on the town. He's going up and down the river walk.
San Antonio.
San Antonio.
He got a job there.
He started Monday.
So does he live in San Antonio now?
Yeah, she moved him out there last weekend.
What's he doing out there?
Being away from me. Making money.
You better sit him up a little bit. I can't see him.
Here, big boy. Look at that. Oh, just look around all over.
Yeah, I figured when he got school, and it's still up to Friday.
Oh, nice. Let me put him on his stomach. Look at that.
I've never heard of anyone not starting at least a house. It's co-op experience. Usually they co-op in the first of the
Oh, he's a wiggle worm.
Yeah, you know anyway.
Hello.
Well, you co-op one semester, you go to school one semester.
Oh, that makes him funny. Yeah, okay, look at him.
Sit him back up again. Make him smile.
Ooh, you put a fuss in there?
Nude shots in there.
You put a fuss some. Yeah. Oh, you been talking about him? Yes, we been. Oh, okay. Grandma, take that.
He graduated from
class is
Lamar.
5
He
to
took his
15
pre-med.
minutes.
He graduated
And
with 2 degrees.
The first day of class, you take a placement test.
And
Try to place
about
it out
two big
as
ones.
many units as you can.
About too big for it, isn't it?
And each unit should cover
I think he's hungry.
algebra.
Then he went up to
You have
medical
to
school
split off
and
50
he got out
units
and
in
he
the
was
semester.
fine.
And they don't teach you. They don't sit there and write problems on the board. You just
And the rest
take
of
a
them
here,
unit, you
just
study all the
practice, doing real
problems,
good.
and you go take a unit test. You pass it, you go to the next unit. You just go to your own pace.
Legs look a lot longer than
And,
Take some accounting
last
classes.
time.
what it is,
Well,
one
he's
room,
out
it's
wrong.
not computers and tables. You know, you sit there and you
Couple of them,
study.
he
And
got
on,
me this
on top
way.
of working,
You
it's
read
not
this.
a doctor.
Before his feet.
Just saying that I just know how to cut it all, and that's the only way. That's the only way Tom's hair can really be cut.
His hair is a lot bigger than
Yeah, his hair.
Okay, Ken, we're ready.
We ready?
Yeah.
That's the one thing everybody says, why don't you cut it this way? Why don't you cut it that way?
I don't know any other way.
Yeah, I mean, I cut it like I can, but like that side where it kicks out,
You know,
there's only one way to cut it where it won't kick out. And sometimes I get it right and sometimes I don't. And I don't know what I do that makes it
That's
it's
me.
right.
Sometimes I can get Tom's hair for a cut a feather.
Roll around.
Okay, pull it down. Hey, it came down. Almost got me too. Yeah? Good. break time?
Refreshment break time.
Okay. Well, just back into your chair. That's it. Atta girl.
Oh, put that head up there. Put that head up there. Are you getting all tired out, huh? Been a busy boy. Yeah, you've been a busy boy. Oh, there he goes. Get some.
Okay, you can turn off that bell now. Come on, make him giggle again.
Say, I'm about giggled out, I think, Grandpa. Oh, give a big giggle again. Yeah. Laugh out loud again for Grandma. Put that tractor in there.
He wants to play now. Sean, can you do the puzzle? Puzzle?
Put that tractor in there. Here, put that tractor in there. Here you go. Here you go.
But Daddy would leave me alone.
Oh. Oh. Okay, here's another one. Put that pig in there. Hurry. Yeah.
Show us Yo-Yo Ma, joining Harpsichordist Kenneth Woodward in that performance of the Sonata number 3 in G minor for viola da gamba and pop.
Okay, put that turkey in there.
You are listening to FM 91 Plus, KPLU,
Gobble, gobble. Gobble, gobble.
Radio.
Gobble, gobble.
He gets so excited. Here's a barn. He's taking your picture while you put the puzzle.
Here I am, Sean. You want to show me how you gonna sweep?
Here, put that one in there.
Okay, sweep it good. Oh, that's good. Yeah, that's good. Okay. Yep, that's the cat. Cutson. Yeah, Cutsa.
Just a little bit.
Why is that? I don't know. I thought it was completely glazed and sealed. And I looked at it one day and see these little white lines and I showed it to Libby and wiped it off.
Be nice. Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure.
Sean, go open your toy box.
How come
you let your subscription run out? Maybe you weren't getting the news you really needed.
That's
You see, in sacrificing
Kind of like it just dissolved.
I'll make that for you so you can put it in your office.
ways of managing your money.
Yeah, that's like Daddy. When he got to the hospital and they did the CAT scan,
Folks just like
they found
yourself
the blood thing.
become
And
millionaires.
then,
Instead of all the gossip, you get
that was
news
on
you can
Saturday
do
morning
something
and they did another one Sunday morning.
Come on, open up.
Sean? Sean?
Wait, huh? Okay, fill him up again. You fill him up? You feel that dump truck up? Up. Yeah, there's another one. Hey, smell this. Smell this. Come here, you.
Pick him up. Put his nose by those flowers.
He's a big one here. You want to smell another one? Ooh. Bye-bye. Bye-bye. Somebody's going bye-bye, huh? Grandpa. Yeah, your boots are all dirty, huh? Try to keep your shoes clean. He's gonna tumble out.
Yeah.
Leans forward very much forward. Sin. Nah. Nah.
Sean, say hello. Get the hammer, Sean. Where's the hammer? Hammer.
Okay, there, pull that one out.
Hit the nail.
There, okay, where's your nail?
Supposed to teach him how to hit him in.
Here we go. Here you go, Sean. Oh, you pulled it out. Okay, here's another one.
He really beats him in hard, doesn't he?
Yeah, put it back in the box. He's got to put it in the box. There, thank you. Okay, pound that one in. And put it in. Okay, use the hammer on it. There. It came out, huh? Hole? Yeah, that's where the nail made a hole. That's a nail hole. There. Okay, hit it with the hammer.
Hit it, Sean, hit it. Pound it in.
There, come on, hold it.
Come get the frog, Sean. Wait, it's right behind you. Oh, there he goes. There he is, over there. Look, 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 look. Right there. See him over there? See him right there?
Chase him back on the concrete.
Frog, get him, Sean. Go get him, Sean. Frog? Get that frog. Okay, it's running. You can tell me what you had done today.
I had a cyst removed from my finger, my left hand, my left index or forefinger.
Let me see your hand.
It doesn't hurt very much. And all I want to do is sleep.
Turn it around. Okay, thank you.
Okay, start from me, then pan on to the ladies there.
All right. Tell me about your shelf again.
I already showed you about my shelf.
Yeah, but now you got to tell on film.
Okay, that didn't take, is it?
It's taken. No, before it didn't take. It's taken now.
Okay, I'm building a shelf for 20 days, and okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you. See you later.
Yeah, Sean. Sean's favorite. Sean.
Hey, Debbie. I didn't
Bye,
get it.
Bill.
I didn't get it before, so you have to talk to me again.
Bye, Bill. I will see you later.
Okay.
Yes, baby. Okay, we'll see you, baby.
Alrighty.
Okay, thanks. Just come back when you...
Did he get you?
Yeah, he aimed it at me. He's trying to hit me. No, I don't want it there.
Sean, what are you doing? You pumpkin.
Hey, water the plant.
Sean, water the flowers. Water the flowers. That's it. Now you got them. That's good. He knows what he wants to do. He wants to get Grandma. It's a good thing you don't have it full power. He'd get you.
Oh, I see you. John. John. Hey.
See that smile on his face? You better not, Sean. Come on, Sean. 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 Come here. Come here.
Okay, come on. Over here, then I'll wash you off. Are you cold? Washing all of that off. Okay, let's go in the house now. Alright? Let's go in the house so Grandma
He
can
wants
dry
to
you
plant
off.
some more flowers.
Yeah, he played with those yesterday. He's got the garden all fixed up real nice. It's ready for plants. And we're just redoing the whole yard. Pretty soon that canoe and that stuff will be all taken out of here. Find a good spot. We're going to grow some beans and tomatoes and cucumbers. And some...
Sean, are your feet clean yet?
Getting
He's doing a good job. Yeah, Sean's doing a good job cleaning his feet. Not my feet, Sean. You got the left one, now clean the right one. Clean your other foot. Maybe just his left foot is dirty. Look over here, boy. Sean.
Clean that foot off too.
Ah, he's getting me too. Sean! Sean! Hey! Not funny, Sean. Now he's gonna do the plants. Yeah, likely excuse. How about the cat? Get the cat. See that cat over there? That cat likes water. Get the kitty. Right over there. See him? Get the kitty. That's the one that always goes shh on you. Oh, Sean's gonna get him. Sean's gonna get him. Get him, Sean. Dum 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 dum. Okay, shoot him. Shoot him. Quick, shoot him. Quick, Sean. Don't get too close. Oh, did you turn it off?
I sure did.
Oh. That's all, Sean.